Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Today we start our cycle of videos on the very important and urgent topic. It is the topic about sexual education. Some people even afraid to talk about this topic not only with their children but with each other. But it is the real problem all over the world with sexual education, as the culture of sexual education was lost. The problem is that there is no golden middle. Some people try to explain everything about sexual education to their children from the early age. And that is why children lose the feeling of erotic energy and erotic feeling. This feeling is not connected to the passion, sexual passion that we used to perceive it, as we used to perceive it. But it is connected to the inspiration and to the beauty. We'll talk about it a little bit later. And some people, they think that they shouldn't tell anything about sexual education, about sexual relations to their children. And that is a big problem, because their children at the age of 12, 13, so at the age of puberty, they start searching for this information. They have a lot of questions. They start searching for the answers. They open the internet pages. They start talking to their fellows. And of course, they get incorrect, wrong information, and information that can be really harmful for them. That is why we decided to start these videos, these short videos for you, to reveal different topics which are inside of sexual education. Because sexual education is not about how to make sex and how to have relations with your sexual partner. But sexual energy and sexuality is connected to social energy, and this education must be given to a child from the early age, but in certain aspects. For example, it is the aspects of food, clothing, it is the ability to make a good speech, to talk to people in a pleasant way, to have the etiquette, how to behave yourself at the table, how to talk to any person, how to get acquainted with somebody, and what words to say. For example, nowadays there is a big problem for teenagers to start even communication with the opposite gender, and they don't know what to say and how to behave. And big problems arise because of that. But there are certain cliches and certain actions which any person should do when he meets another one, just to get the openness. And we'll talk about it also.
What's up, honey?
Hey, I'm meeting a girl here.
Oh, all right.
Blind date.
Oh, I think she's here.
Hey, Trish, you're Eddie.
Hi.
Hey.
Oh,
Sorry.
Wow, it's a cool spot.
yeah. So what's up with you?
Not much.
I was just gonna say your blouse is really nice. It's
Oh,
like a
thank
good
you.
color, good color.
Black.
Can I get you something?
Hot shots. Party started.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah. What do you like to drink?
Everything.
We have everything here. So do you like sip? 'Cause I like the big cup sometimes. That's how you.
Unfortunately, the topic of sexual education is restricted in many places and in many families, and parents do not talk about this topic at all. And then our children are blamed in depravity. So adults think that our children are sexually depraved and they have too much information about sexual relations. And that's all because the culture of sexual education was lost, as actually grandmothers, grandfathers, mothers and fathers should share this information with their children, should tell them the stories about their experience, how they got acquainted with their partners, what happened when they first fell in love. And as this culture was lost, children don't know what to do and how to behave, and this is a big problem for them. So parents, mothers and fathers, grandmothers and grandfathers, for this time they don't really know what to tell, what information to share with their children. That is why we started the cycle of these videos, to help you to bring necessary and important, useful knowledge for your children.
Very important moment in sexual education is food. I would call it food culture. In early age, the development of sexual energy is given when the child tries, eats different types of food rather than the right food, and gets different tastes. This is a part of sexual development since it is directly related to the sensation of the body, the ability to feel through the body, to bring pleasure through the body, and it is openness to the energy of abundance. The more diverse the food that a child eats since childhood, the more a child can recognize, understand and distinguish his or her emotions later. Parents do not need to have talks about sex with children at an early age, but they just need to give a variety of food. Food is directly related to sexuality. Therefore, it is necessary to develop different tastes. So sexuality in the early age and the right sexual development is given through the culture of eating, through eating and serving beautiful food. Then a child learns not to rush into passion, and he learns to be aware of what is happening to him or to her, what he or she really feels in this or that moment. Just like in food, in the process of eating, he or she can choose something what he or she really wants at that moment, what he needs, what his body requires. He knows how to distinguish it. But do not throw himself like a hungry one at anything that he sees. Beautifully set table, artistically decorated plate, these are the parts of correct sexual education from the early age. And talking about the decoration of the plates, it is not only decoration just with the hearts, for example, as many people used to perceive decoration. It is artistic decoration. So that a person can get pleasure from the process of eating, not only from the tastes, but also from the beauty, looking at food, smelling food. And if we look deeper, it is always like that you can find confirmation in the language to the correct, true statements, if you carefully look for. We all heard the phrase, "Why do you act like a hungry one?" After all, they say this phrase to a person who is intensively looking for sexual relations, not only to a person who is really hungry and he just wants to eat. And when a person is satisfied, he can be asked, "And so what? Are you filled up? Are you full? Are you satisfied?" That is the connection between food and sex, sexual education, sexuality is reflected in our language. And of course, cooking is associated with sexuality. Generally, cooking food is magic. And the science of cooking in this aspect is also a stage of sexual education for teenagers. So the science of cooking, the science of eating, of serving the table, the science of beautiful and tasty food is the very important part of sexual education for younger children. And one more really important idea. Please pay attention to it. The idea of limiting children in some kind of food affects the development of personal sexuality badly and harmfully. For example, restriction in sweet. You limit the child in sweet taste and you say, "You can't eat candies, as you will feel really bad because you will have bad teeth or you will have the allergy." Or you can say, "Don't eat candies and cookies, please eat some fruit or eat honey, it's also sweet. So if you need sweet taste, please try an apple or a pear or try some honey, it's really good." And if the child refuses, parents normally say, so that means that you don't need really sweet taste, you don't want it. If you would have wanted something sweet, you would eat honey and you would eat fruit. But it is obvious that candies or cookies or honey or fruit, all these are completely different tastes. And a small child can't understand such type of explanations at all, because at the early age he studies the world through his body, through the tastes. He wants and needs to try the variety of everything, and it is a very important stage of development. In this case, this is his stage of sexual development through tastes, of correct sexual development. And then, if a child had such limitations and restrictions in tastes and food before, later, he or she will feel sexual energy and will always block it. So these are very dangerous ideas when children can't eat what they really want. Then they do not realize their desire. That is the worst. I know this may sound strange to you at the moment or even inappropriate, but try to look at this question from the point of abundance. After all, food from an early age creates an understanding for the child that the world itself is abundant. There are many possibilities, and whether to use them or not, everyone chooses himself later, but the responsibility of parents to show children that the world is full of opportunities. And at the early age, a sense of abundance is learned through food. And managing his own desires in food from an early age allows the child to manage his or her sexual desires in future, to feel and satisfy them correctly. And there is nothing really to worry about, as you know that no any person in adequate state can eat constantly, for example, only sweet or only salty. This can happen only in a stressful situation or when it is necessary to replenish some element or sensation in the organism, in the body. And the more surprising is that, for example, adults are allowed to eat sweet in a stressful situation. But if a child wants to eat a lot of sweet, of course, a lot, it is in the opinion of sexually uneducated parents, then it is considered to be a pathology. And of course, this pathology needs to be urgently treated or limited. And in this way, sexually uneducated parents prevent the correct development of sexuality of their children. And then, as a result, after 16, 17, 18 or 20, young people have problems in sexual relations, in relations with their partners. They start trying all the types of relations that is described in the internet, for example, as they don't know what they really want. They can't realize it, they can't distinguish it, they can't manage their own feelings and emotions. And of course, to learn what to do and how to act correctly after 20 is much more difficult. So you see now that sexual education, sexual development consists of several certain rules that need to be fulfilled. And there are things that are not directly connected to the sex by itself or how to make sex. There are a lot of different aspects and stages of sexual development, and it starts naturally, step by step, from the childhood.
So we talked with you about very important part of sexual education. It is food and abundance, which gives different types of food and variety of food to a child from the early age and to any person. Next time we'll talk with you about different other aspects which include, for example, as I told already, clothing, etiquette of behaving at the table, then different types of communication with other people and cliches that you need to know, music, the ability to make a good and nice speech, what words should you use communicating with people, and of course it is talking to people, because talking, it opens up sexual energy of a person. Thank you for being with us. See you next time.